Hello and welcome to the 1000 Comics Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Heath, and I'm going to be taking you on a journey. If you like stand-up comedy and you always wanted to get to know comedians, this is the podcast to do so. A lot of people don't know what this podcast is, what it's for. Well, it's to listen to. If you want to listen to some great conversations between some great comedians, this is the forum to do it. And just to explain why is Matt Heath going to this length to try to interview 1,000 comedians? Well, it's dawned on me, as someone who does stand-up comedy, that I want to connect with comedians. I want there to be something out there to refer back to when we think about stand-up comedy. I think about the comedians that I've known and grown with and worked with over the years. I've been doing stand-up comedy for about 5 years now. And I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of people, if possibly even 1,000, when it comes to stand-up comedy. Now, there's people that I've grown with, grown to know, hang out with on a daily to weekly basis, and there's people I haven't seen in years, and there's going to be people like that will be interviewed on this show. There's a comedian that comes to mind when I think about what I want to do with this podcast. That we lost a little over a year ago. His name was Mike Jacobs. He was a guy that helped me out a lot when I first moved to New York, and he put me on shows. And I always wanted to sit down with him and do something like this. It's comedians like that, the comedians that we've lost over the years, that you wish you had conversations with these people. You wish you had evidence that you were around, you were funny, and you made people laugh, and more importantly, you make each other laugh. So this podcast, this first podcast, is dedicated to Mike Jacobs. Great comic. He worked a lot with Richard Lewis, toured with him, but he was always looking to give young comics an opportunity. And that's what I want to do in a sense with this show, is give people an opportunity to voice their opinions and show why they are funny. So this is it. This is the 1000 Comics Podcast. I would just like to say that the 1000 Comics Podcast is looking for sponsors. We're looking for sponsors. Also, if you'd like to sponsor the podcast, you could send an email to matthewheath.saga@gmail.com. That is the email to use. Furthermore, I'm pretty much sponsoring myself when it comes to this. You could listen to my comedy album, which is located on the same place as this podcast, the YouTube page. It's called Matt Heath, Class Clown Revisited. The title's a little homage to George Carlin, one of my heroes. Also, you could check out my play, Renaissance Men, on Amazon.com. If you'd like to sit down and read a funny play, just go on Amazon.com and type in Matt Heath in the search bar, and Renaissance Men will pop right up. You can buy that play. So here's the interview with Hennessy Williams. Enjoy.
You would want on the wall, like
All
they
right,
are on the wall.
We're starting. This is the podcast.
Yeah, that's fine. But it's just interesting to see it because it is really watching like who your heroes are, because this is your picks, right? So this is hand selected Matt Heath.
But you know what? The reason these albums are on the wall here, in my kitchen, is because I had a box of albums in my classroom, and these are like the albums that are too cool for school. Like, you wouldn't want like kids looking at these albums, because you got Carlin with the pot leaves, you got the Big Bamboo, there's a giant rolling paper in there. Cosby, nobody wants that anymore.
You just can't have that one. You just can't have that one.
On the other side is Steve Martin, Carlin again.
And these are like your personal comedy heroes at this point?
That was one of the questions I was going to ask you. Who do you idolize in
Holy
comedy?
shit. You know what's tough about that? It's just the fact that like I've spent so much. I have to phrase it this way. You know how there's people who get into comedy and they just kind of fell in love with it or whatever. They fell in love with the craft,
right?
And so they started to do comedy themselves. And then there are lifers, people who were consuming it as a child by accident, and that consumption became an obsession, and you just were always doing that. So what ended up happening to me was like I'm a lifer. Like, I was watching comedy since I was like, I can remember, 2-3 years old. Right. The last memory, and it was. What are
your earliest memories of
my earliest memories of comedy for real are Charlie Chaplin coming on to. I'm trying to remember whether it was the Turner Classic Network or something. Yeah. And it's Charlie Chaplin just doing his stuff, and that's being on there. And I've seen Rodney Dangerfield, and I've heard that album, the I Don't Get Respect album, and I've heard the Bill Cosby, you know what I mean? So some of the earliest people, though, I think I can point a finger to is Red Fox. Might be the earliest comedy thing.
That's like our parents loved Red Fox.
And here's the thing.
Your parents watched comedy a lot too. No,
I'm an immigrant, right? I'm a kid of an immigrant.
See, I thought that your parents were like I understand your parents are immigrants, but I thought that maybe you kind of grew up watching what they watched.
Here's the thing. Because they were immigrants, because I was a latchkey kid, I was raised by television. Right. My sensibilities and everything, I attribute some things to my parents, but I tell people all the time, everything you know about me and everything that I'm based off of is because TV raised me. I'm one of the kids that was raised by television.
That's actually really
straight
funny.
Up.
You were telling me one day you would always hear about latchkey kids. You didn't really understand what it meant, but you were a latchkey kid. And I was like, sure. You know what? I was a latchkey kid too.
Because the thing, the understanding I always had was that, okay, a latchkey kid means he came home by himself. He got off the bus and walked home to an empty house, was responsible for feeding himself. Obviously, things were left around, but was responsible for feeding himself, responsible for getting his homework done, all these things. What ended up happening to me was I was just so against the idea of walking home. Right. I was a little fatty. By the time I got to that age where it was like, because when you're in elementary school, you know, you have no choice. You don't walk home anyway. But like around like the later portion of elementary school, around 4th grade, 3rd, 4th grade is when the kids start getting expected to get home on their own. And I was vehemently against getting home on my own. So I would ask my parents to find a way to get me home, pick me up, and they were free to leave. That was the argument. That was the I don't know, the trade-off for them was telling them, okay, you guys can drop me home and go to work. And my parents both worked at night, both came home late as hell. But I was just a kid raised and no one's telling me what to do. No one's telling me what I can't and can't watch.
What were your go-to TV shows?
Holy shit, I was all over the place.
I was all over.
I was watching Frasier. I was watching Frasier, Grace Under Fire, MASH, also Angry Beavers, also SpongeBob, also Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and Street Sharks, and Big Bad Beetleborgs, and Power Rangers, and there was a show by the guy who played the football coach in Friday Night Lights where he would receive a newspaper of what the events were going to be the next day. I watched that show religiously. I can't remember the name of it now, but I watched that show religiously. It came on CBS. I would watch Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman. I watched a bunch of things, Touched by an Angel. I was all over the place with my television watching, because there was no one to kind of curtail that anywhere. There was no one to say that's inappropriate. And every once in a while, I had religious parents too, so they'd hear something and be like, you shouldn't probably watch The Simpsons. We heard it's bad. But they didn't have the time to patrol that.
And it's funny, though, how one day I think when you do stand-up comedy, there's one day you realize you're just like, I don't think there's really that much more television to watch.
Yeah,
I've watched it enough.
I've watched all of it.
I have to go release. I have to go make the show now.
I say that you end up making the TV you wanted to see.
Yeah,
because I think you're a big TV watcher the way I am, where you just keep looking for something, and then I don't know when I realized it, but I realized I was just looking for something in my own head that would never exist.
I was watching the Larry Sanders Show, and you walked in. There was a Rip Torn has a great line in it where he's like, in the last episode I watched, he's like you're half man, he's like, you're a talk show animal. You're half man, half desk. You become a talk show animal.
Half desk.
You're like a mythological creature.
Yeah, no, I get
you're
that.
Half man, half desk.
This is a centaur.
You're but it's true though. You have a different view of the world as a comedian, but you realize that everyone in the audience is pretty much the same as you.
You're the one who has the nerve to say something every time. Whatever it is, whatever the little small inconveniences that we decide to opine about it and all that, we're the ones who decided to. Have you ever noticed how come? And we do our version of that.
Are your parents still around?
They're both still around. They had me really old for them.
Yeah,
because I have siblings who are 13 and 14 years older than me. So my parents had me in their early 40s.
How do they feel about you doing comedy?
They don't understand what this is.
They don't
they don't understand what it is I'm doing, because the references they have is kind of like if you ever watch those old school things off Telemundo or whatever. The comic relief in the middle of a dramatic show was a bozo buffoon guy with a beanie propeller and suspenders riding on a tricycle. And they think that's what
literally
that is.
Spanish entertainment is what they like.
Sort of, but it's almost like that. Like when I say I want to be a comedian, they equate comedy to that. Like that's a comedian.
Wow.
Antics.
It's weird. I think my dad understands what I'm doing.
Uh-huh.
He doesn't. I don't think he likes it too. I think it's kind of like it's like a very self-perpetuating thing we do.
It is.
So they've never seen you do a show? Your parents have never come out to a show?
They've never been to a show. I'm of the belief they may never end up at a show.
Wow.
They're both 71.
Okay.
So they're both 71. They're both very, very set in their ways. And the idea to invite them to a show in their second language, You know what I mean? In their second language for them to
what
watch
is it going to take to impress your parents in the comedy world? Are you going to have to be in newspapers or like
that's
the
not
New
enough.
York Times?
Honestly,
what would it take?
I think for my parents, what it means to succeed at this is someone talking to them about what I do because they saw it.
Okay.
You get what I mean? Like someone having to be like, "Hey, I think I saw your son on the TV." Then my parents will be like, "You saw my son on the TV and it wasn't Cops?" Yeah. Okay. I guess he made something of himself.
And it wasn't Cops.
And it wasn't Cops. Like that.
It wouldn't even have to be anything that good on television either, though. Right? You could be in like a commercial or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Raphael's son. That's right.
Wow.
Yeah. Near future. Now it's not even just, now it's like to put on my own shows outside of my immediate market. Like, to me, it's putting on a show in, Columbus, Ohio, putting on a show in all these cities and all these places that are like my show.
You want to expand?
Yeah, that's the main thing. Is make the brand a brand. Introduce my comedy, introduce myself to the rest of the world. Because I've traveled doing stand up, but obviously, to my taste, it's not.
You have to be a bit of a Rolling Stone to be a comedian. There's no like, if you get really big in one spot, it's like you have to move on.
You have to leave
to somewhere else because then you just get stuck in that same spot, that same environment.
For sure. One of the things I noticed though, like even in this, is just I looked at it and this is the most self-serving thing I can say and most narcissistic thing I can say. But sometimes I feel like people can lose sight of how good you are at something if you get really good in one place. Eventually, it just becomes ho-hum and par for the course for you to do well. Like, people just, oh, yeah, but that's Matt. That's just Matt. Of course he did well.
It's like that with anybody, though. It's like that with the biggest people in the world, though. It's like Elvis was the king of rock and roll, but when he was doing his Vegas act, he just does a Vegas act now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's like, once you eventually stop in one place, you kind of teeter out,
Yeah.
But that's something I was thinking about the other day when I did Marina 84.
Okay.
Have you done Marina 84?
I did. I always implore people to do Marina 84 twice, and you never have to do it again. But every comedian should do something to
I completely agree with you. I don't think it's a great place to do comedy, but it's also, I feel like, a necessary place to do comedy. Because it's definitely has its own energy where it's like you get up there and you're like, wow, comedy keeps going in this place for some reason.
Yeah, years.
Like,
years.
Why does it keep going? It's like nobody's interested in the comedy going on here, but it's like, so you know what it feels like? You think of the East Coast. You think East Coast comedy, the East Coast comics,
grimy,
and then you got Florida, which is really, it's a peninsula. It's like the end of the dock of America.
Yeah.
Once you do Marina 84, you've walked out to the end of that dock, and you're like looking down at the crowd. You're like, maybe it's time to go back.
Well, here's the thing. You do Marina 84, and you have to realize for a moment that you are entertaining people who thought that hotel was an acceptable hotel to stay in. And that diner or restaurant was an acceptable place to get their food and or entertainment.
They have Jetson's salt and pepper shakers.
Yeah.
In this glass case, and I did my Jetsons bit.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an Asian woman looking at
just staring
at the and I was like, buy the Jetsons salt and pepper shaker.
Yeah. just selling merch for the bar. That place is crazy. And even if you do well, you have to kind of take it with a grain of salt, like, and when you do poorly. You have to say, like, I didn't crush at Marina. But, and I don't say that very often as far as, like, comedians should just take it easy on themselves for not doing well in a room. Because eventually you do it long enough and you go, some rooms, you go, yeah, you probably should have did better, but don't kill yourself that you didn't.
Well, it's weird. You gotta get calloused as a comedian. It's like you gotta take a certain amount of rejection before you do a good room. Because a room, it doesn't matter if there's a lot of people in a room. It still can
it can be chaos.
A bad room.
Yeah, it's not the numbers; it's the attention, and just etiquette. Because some rooms, there's no etiquette amongst audiences, and audiences have their own job they have to do.
I know the Buddha it's been one of your favorite rooms for. How long have you been doing comedy there at that venue?
I started that Buddha. I did the Buddha the first week of my stand-up career. Because when I decided to do stand-up, I picked a day and I had never stopped. I picked my week schedule that week, and I just did stand-up. It was the third comedy venue I'd ever been to doing stand-up. So I think September or October will make it. October, I believe, will make it 3 years of doing stand-up.
3 years. So. How do you feel about the venue changing the name, changing the atmosphere? Do you think it's going to change the way comedy is done in there?
It has to. And anytime you rearrange a room and you change the name of it, something about the room changes. Even if the faces never do, something about the energy is gonna be different. We're right in that middle point right now, where it's still half Buddha, half robotic, or is it robot or robotic?
It's going to be called the Robot Brewing Company.
Exactly. So,
and see, it's weird because it's like we the people that go there, the people that hang out there, they have no say over what the name of the place is going to be, the atmosphere. Do you think that atmosphere will stay? Like the Buddha energy is going to be behind the robot, or
that's the thing. Is it a reincarnation, or is it just an entirely different thing? Because I look at it because what you have to accept with that is okay. The Buddha's always had this weird energy, and it's been growing, and at not maybe the height, but approaching another uptick in the wave of it, because it had its downtime where it was just we would see the numbers kind of dwindling off season and stuff, and now we're not even in the season anymore and the numbers are still high, so it's on the upswing, but they changed the name right in the middle, so the patrons may not care, but as a performer you have it in your head now that you're just in this different place. It looks different, you're going to act different, you're going to treat it different, especially when if they change the lights and they move things around, it's just going to put you in a different space, and you're going to feel like you're not at your home club thing anymore. It may not make it not, it may not hinder you from performing well, but it's absolutely going to put a different feel in your
I feel it's strange though, because I'm really new to South Florida, and to see how much everything changes in Florida constantly.
Yeah. And
there's nothing. It seems like if there's something genuine, it's like they say possessions are fleeting. Mm-hmm. Everything kind of changes quickly, and businesses, and I think mostly with businesses, but it's weird because the actual seasons don't change in Florida.
No.
So something has to change. And it's just the way people act in general. It's strange.
There's a set. It's weird because the what you need in order to change all the time is a lack of connection or a lack of sentimental value to something's originality. Now the thing is, Florida, for whatever reason, the things people in Florida choose to be sentimental about are absurd. I'll be the first to, like, the things they don't want to change.
Like what? What do you think?
Things they don't want to change is like they prefer the more dangerous area of like let's say a port, right? They'll be like, leave the port. Don't change don't change that port area. Leave this old, like, they have their little spots. Mm-hmm. We have our little, like, the Frog Lounge is one of those little things where it was just a perfect formula where people like, leave that alone. Everything around it is changing. Everything around the Frog Lounge is changing. But we've chosen as a group, as a municipality, to leave that area alone, leave that building alone, change everything around it. And who knows, maybe other people didn't want things to change, but there's no consensus except for certain things because people just want to have that available to them. The idea of being able to just go to that one little place and go be a barfly until 2 in the morning and not be noticed.
Yeah, I think a part of the my problem is because I'm from a small town where nothing ever changes. Mm-hmm. Everything... The atmosphere, everything's exactly the same. That pizza place has been the same for 20, 30 years.
Oh, yeah. The Northeast
this bar has been the same for 20, 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
But it's I think it's important to be in a place like this when you're young because it forces you to change and it forces you to, evolve as a person, really.
It does. It puts you in a position where you have to really evaluate what you care about, your values. Because like if you have your favorite bar in South Florida, there's no reason it can't change. There's nothing to keep it from changing into like one of those trendy bars where people look very beautiful and don't talk to you, like that in an instant. And all that has to happen is someone waving money in the air. Some Russian billionaire investor just waves a check in the air, and your favorite bar is now going to look like something out of Burn Notice or something down here, and it'll be like one of those hotel bars they always try to show on like Nip Tuck.
You know what's funny? The place I go to, Brooklyn Pizza, mm-hmm. There's this place that I go there like religiously once a week, and it's actually become more authentic Italian since the last time I've been in there because it used to be run by an Italian guy and an Armenian. I'm pretty sure he was Armenian, mm-hmm. But you never heard anybody speaking Italian. But now it's just run by the Italian guy, and it's his family working there. So it's funny. His daughter helped me. I was like, "Who's this woman?" When I walked in there, and like she's immediately gotten an attitude with me. Like when I go in there. And then you just see like this older Italian woman with like a mole on her. Do you think she's about to like beat somebody with a rolling? I was like, whoa! This place has turned into a sitcom.
Wow!
And I love it.
See, that's the thing. You love it, and people like you will because it'll be like something from back home. It'll be a reminder. Any transplant of South Florida may enjoy that. Any South Florida native, there's a chance they might be like, what is this? Where's the sexy bartender and the hot hostess? I want, you get what I mean?
Yeah, like assholes.
Yeah, like they'll be like, I want to wear my shirt with the button down, 3 buttons open with my chest out.
Yeah,
I can't do that
because they've added a home like quality.
Yeah,
the people in Florida don't want that. People in Florida are very much it's weird. It's an adult atmosphere in Florida. I remember going to a movie theater, mm-hmm. and instead of a snack bar, they got a actual bar.
Yeah,
and I don't know which bar the movie theater.
Oh, those are littered all over.
But
South
that's
Florida.
like this movie theater is not for children.
People want to go to the movies if they can't get a drink. You know what I'm saying? People don't want to go to the movies they can't get a drink. They're like, oh, what? No beers? Nothing? I can't even get a beer? Oh, this place is washed. We can't come back here. You mean I gotta be sober while I watch Arnold Schwarzenegger struggle in his second language?
Growing up in Connecticut, I didn't grow up with drive-in movie theaters. So you got to grow up with the drive-in.
Yeah, I didn't go to one.
Did you ever go?
Yeah, I go. I've been to one in the last 30 days with a date.
Yeah.
They're perfect date spots. Absolutely perfect.
All right, why is the drive-in movie theater the perfect date spot for?
Here's why.
For Hennessy Williams. Give me
Williams.
the Hennessy Williams treatment you're with a lady at the drive-in movie theater.
Because it does give you that little slice of years gone by,
right?
You know what I mean? You can do the whole you can act like you want to give her your Letterman's jacket or whatever, and it's a nice little environment. You can control your environment for the most part.
Yes.
Obviously, the cars outside of you are outside of you, but within your car, it's just you and her. You don't have to worry about the guy behind you. You don't have to, keep your talking down. You don't have to do anything like that. If the movie's not good, you can just talk right through it. You can finger blast her. You can just go to town. And I did that. I did that when the last time I went to the movies, which was last month. And it's best when you have an adventurous person with you, and you can just, hey, I have an idea.
You have to know the girl is going to want a hand down her pants.
Yeah, or be willing to give you an old fashioned. You gotta know what kind of person you're with. If you got the kind of person who doesn't want to give you an old fashioned in the drive-in, don't take her to the drive-in, even if you had no intentions of getting an old fashioned.
You know what the problem is with my car? It's got no AC, so the summertime is out. The summertime is out for the drive-in.
That's brutal. That's absolutely brutal. Yeah, dude. Because you gotta have the windows down so it can't get a handy. If the windows are down, that's just like, even if you don't have tint, you still gotta have the windows up.
It could be. It's even more adventurous. You got the windows.
Oh yeah, with the whole. Let everyone hear ball slapping fist during Iron Man 8.
What kind of movie is a
good drive-in movie? You got to pick a good drive-in movie. There's absolutely
the only time I've ever been to the drive-in was I took a girl to see It at the drive-in.
That's a good drive-in movie.
She was like a horror movie chick too. She's into covered in like horror movie tattoos and everything.
Jesus, okay.
It's like that would have been like an episode out of the Matt Heath TV. If my life was a TV show.
Well, your episode would have entirely been wrapped around you trying to get to the drive-in, and it cuts at you finally about to watch the movie. Like, it's just this, it's from the moment you wake up and then you got the wild hair up your ass and you decide to ask her to go to the drive-in tonight, and then and this doesn't go well and that doesn't go well, and she changes the plans 2 times, 3 times, and that's the episode. You finally get in there and some ice cream falls in your lap during the end credits or something.
Yes. Well, I think now's a good time. I think to bring up the pilot episode for the show I wrote about you. There's a show, the Hennessy Williams show, that I thought would be entertaining, and I think we should take a look at it because we hadn't.
I'm just going to my notes for when I wrote about him. I found him. When was this writing?
So I wrote the show a few months ago. I finished writing it. I brought it to the Funky Buddha Lounge, where a lot of great comedic things happen.
Absolutely. Let's just go with it.
You want to just go through it A to Z? Let's.
Okay. So you want me to read? Is it a reading or is it just picking in lines?
All right. Let's get it pulled up on my computer here. Where's Hennessy Williams show? let's not stop the talking because
No, this is
a podcast.
excellent. This is what you want in a podcast, I promise you. Dead air. It's for the best. Go ahead.
All right, so we got the Act 1, Scene 1. The show opens with Hennessy doing 1 minute of stand-up on Success. You think you could handle doing
See, here's the thing.
1 minute of stand-up on Success?
That's where you first fucked up, is if you think I've got 1 minute of just material. There's not gonna be just pauses in the middle of that. You know what's funny? From the visualization, knowing my stand-up and me stylistically, while it would be on Success, it's totally going to be not like the trappings. It'll just be me like wondering what is success aloud.
Is success allowed?
No, wondering aloudly.
Wondering
what it is.
What it is.
Yeah.
What?
What is?
That is like, we just get you on stage anywhere, really.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Marine 84.
It could be Marine 84. And it's just you going, what is success?
What is it?
All right, cut to nothing but a TV on the floor in the scene. On the TV is a commercial for a TV show that starts playing. The title is South Beach Back Sweat. The announcer, on the next South Beach Back Sweat, a scene taking place on the beach appears. A song by The Who plays as a character that's played by Hennessy Williams appears on the screen. Hennessy's character, Detective Bullock, takes off his sunglasses. A blonde woman in a red bathing suit is screaming.
Can we just hit pause for a second? Okay, Detective Bullock. A part of me feels like you wrote that as in like the English word Bullock's like balls when you decided to name the character.
No, you want to know how I came up with the name of that character? It's the heavy-set detective in Batman.
Oh, the one who was like always kind of on the wrong side of the law?
Yes.
Ah, you fucker! Wow. And you picked the heavy-set one. I couldn't even be like...
So what seems to be the problem, miss? That's your line, Bullock's line.
Mm-hmm.
But we've also discussed that this is a very meta-theatric TV show, people. We want Vital the Juice, and another great South Florida comic, to play Hennessy on the show within the show.
During the action scenes, isn't that what we decided? Like during action scenes, it's gonna be Vital, and then during speaking roles, it's me.
Yes. So what seems to be the problem, miss? That's your Vital's line.
Mm-hmm.
There's a man out there. He's raping the manatees. My God. Bullock is seen on his cell phone. We're gonna need the jet ski for this one. Bullock is seen taking off his sunglasses again. The Who song plays a second time. Another commercial starts playing that becomes inaudible and invisible as the camera pans out. And that would be your first line on the show.
As me. Well, you turn that shit off. That's the whole reason we moved back out this way, so we could get away from that. My show.
Read the dialogue between, and I want to know what you think.
This is Ginger, my wife.
Because this is you have a wife named Ginger.
Yeah, I have a wife named Ginger. Her response to me telling her to turn that shit off is, "Honey, it's too quiet in the house." That's her response to me saying, "Turn it off. That noise is what drove me down here." And she's like,
"You two just moved in. It's that house is practically empty. This is a new house. It's too quiet for this woman in this house. You could hear the soda losing its fizz."
She can hear the impending divorce proceedings, because if she can't take the silence of just a home, A home needs noise. Like, that's the thing. Because, like, I remember when I read that, I was in this new house. We need something. I need some better version of you. See, that's a good line for Ginger to say. I just want to see a version of you I like. I need to see something about you I like.
So you're saying the only reason this woman married you is because of this TV show?
No, it's real love, but I would marry the person who says that to me.
Oh, that's a response. Okay.
I need to hear something of you that I like. Or something from. I'll put something from. All right. What are you talking about? And then she says, I gotta have some background noise in here. We just moved into this empty house and I'm uncomfortable. But the TV, why did you plug it in? I haven't even put a TV stand in here yet, and that's coming in the next U-Haul. Who moves a television?
She brought you bring the electronics in the car ride over. The big furniture is in the U-Haul.
First of all,
that makes sense to me.
Let's suppose that in this world you've created, I am a successful comedian who's on television.
Right.
And I'm the star of a television show. Yes. But I'm still moving things in my car.
Yeah, you would move.
Like, I'm not using professional servants.
I would move my own electronics, man.
These are
my laptop, my television.
This is totally your sensibilities right here. You've got me moving a giant TV in my car, but the stand is like I'm taking responsibility for my own things.
It might not have been the biggest TV in the house. We probably have multiple televisions if you're the TV.
A TV that's pretty sizable but isn't big is 40 inches. You've got me putting a 40-inch television.
And the TV that I have, how big is that TV?
32.
Let's start. Would you wouldn't move that TV in the car ride over? No.
No.
Not even a TV.
Because I wouldn't own it. That's my computer monitor. And I wouldn't move that.
All right.
See, that's the thing. Like,
so what would you? How are we going to rewrite this? What's the solution to this problem?
We gotta lose we gotta change this around a little bit. The TV stand isn't here. But the TV, why did you plug it in? Here's what it can be. I haven't even set up the cable service. Okay. And she's just playing DVDs. She's watching a DVD.
Yeah, that's all you have is a DVD of your own show.
Yeah. That's more like it, actually. Is I only own DVDs of things I've done.
Okay. That sounds good. Let's switch it up.
I'm just gonna write DVD instead of TV stand. Okay. Baby, I don't want to argue. We haven't been in our house for an hour yet. Hennessy pulls a radio out of a box. I mean, obviously. Is there anything that needs to be said about Hennessy pulling a radio? A ham radio out of a box.
A ham radio? I got it's like one of those hand crank radios.
You gotta be doing a hand crank
for hurricanes.
It just turns off after 30 minutes.
That's the first thing you bring to your new house.
In my car. Is that and yet DVDs. I still got DVDs in myself.
That's the first load.
I'm just gonna write radio ? All right, Hennessy, well, listen to this. I can't deal with the TV right now. Ginger turns the radio off. A song by De La Soul starts playing. The oldie station is the only dial that works.
You got no problem with that, right?
No, that's fine. That's fine. You've breathed life into these words.
I think it's funny, though, and like anyone else reading would be like, why are you putting the De La Soul song in there, man? It's like, that is Hennessy Williams, right?
Yeah. De La Soul. Ginger, oh my God. You remember this one from back in the day? Hennessy takes Ginger by the hand and they start to slow dance in an empty living room. Those were the days. I don't know how old you've got me being in this show. Where De La Soul is something I hearken back to. And I long for.
You're playing older.
I'm playing much older.
Hennessy's playing older than he actually is. I play older than I am in real life.
Yeah. So. That is a subject of conversation all the time. It's really amazing how old Matt isn't, right? Oh my God, those were the days. I'm going to write parenthetically, how old am I? Well, are we? Because my wife is clearly old too. She remembers. How old are we?
You're never too old to reminisce.
About De La Soul when it was on the radio? Remember when this came out? What? Those were the days. Ginger says, before the never-ending phone call. So my career is going well and she's still bad-mouthing the fortune of me being busy. The paparazzi. Ginger, the tabloids. They've got me being an alien or something in the tabloids. Hennessy loses weight, gains it back, then loses it, then gains it again. Hennessy, all we needed was some music. Ginger, some papers. I guess rolling papers, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Some papers, Hennessy, and a 6-pack of Colt 45.
We're doing product placement.
Yeah.
Colt 45.
Go for
right?
it.
I'm hoping that in doing the show they'll send the staff and creators as much Colt 45 as we want to drink.
Of so not particularly good beer.
It works every time.
Just get a case of 211s. Like, yeah, I'm real glad we did that.
Yeah.
All right.
No. Colt 45 is
just fine. They'll shoot for the moon. All right.
Wait, if you had to do product placement for if we found
a beer,
if we found like a beer or liquor that would sponsor the show, and would pay, which one would you choose?
Ooh.
Hennessy.
I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to assume that I have the #1 show on CBS America.
Yes.
As they say, the #1 comedy on Friday night CBS. And I can just choose who I want. You know what? I'm going back to the motherland. Prestige beer. A Haiti export.
Wow. Okay.
Prestige beer.
I didn't even know Haiti had an export of beer.
A lot of people don't know Haiti exports anything.
Prestige? Is it
Prestige?
Good?
It's very good. It's very good. Very heavy though. It's a heavy beer, but it's very good.
I'm drinking Magic Hat right now, folks. All right, I gotta try a Prestige.
Corner store. Especially around here, like we're
the 1000 Comics podcast is actually looking for sponsors, and if Prestige Beer is interested at all, we would love to hear from you. Also, Colt 45, Magic Hat too.
That's right. 1000comics@gmail.com.
That is not actually the email.
Does this show have an email?
We'll get you the email.
You don't have it.
We'll have an email soon. We're in the early stages.
Okay. So you go. So where are we? In a 6-pack of Colt 45. Ginger gives Hennessy a sarcastic, disgusted look. Hennessy then kisses her. The kiss is then interrupted by the ringing phone. Ginger, don't pick it up. Ugh. Hennessy walks outside and picks up his phone. Split screen of the man in the suit appears. This man is Hennessy's manager, Jackie. What do you want, Jackie? Mr. Williams! Because here's the thing. I assume that is the cadence of him. Like when you wrote it, you screamed as you typed, Mr. Williams!
Let me see the script.
Mr. Williams! Yeah.
Yeah, just like it.
And just like it. It's uncanny. Jackie, I told you, I need a few days to move in and get settled. Well, I just wanted to know how things are going up there in the boondocks. They'd be going a lot better if I wasn't being bothered by my manager every chance he gets. Man, I can't believe you left Miami. You were on the verge of living like a king in the city. It's a great place to film. It's a great place to vacation. But I'm glad I'm getting back to my roots. It's important. Where those roots are, no one knows. Doesn't matter. I just live somewhere in the outskirts. Where did you envision when you were writing this? Where was the place?
Wherever you wanted your roots to be. Where
so Boondocks was more of just a pejorative.
Do you think you have roots in Florida? If you were doing a show in Miami, do you think you would have to get back to some kind of roots in Florida?
To like ground myself?
Yes.
So I don't lose myself in the excess of Miami?
The excess of Hollywood
and by extension Miami.
Yes.
Yeah, there are places I could go. There is a place. There is a city. Boynton Beach. It's where I grew up 90% of my child life. Like 99% of my child life was Boynton Beach. So I believe that would be the place I could set I can press the reset button of my life. For anyone to call that the Boondocks is fine. I understand it. Relatively speaking to Miami, yes.
Well, we record. Today we're recording in Lake Worth, is where I live, and I guess I was envisioning Lake Worth, Boynton Beach,
the Palm Beach County area,
Palm Beach
northern
County area.
I guess it's central. This is like central Palm Beach.
It's weird because a place like, I think Lake Worth and Boynton Beach are essentially they have a lot of similarities. You would say, right?
There's a common thread that weaves between Boynton to about Delray. Not from Boynton to Delray, excuse me, from Lake Worth to about Delray. There's something that kind of connects that Lake Worth, Boynton, Delray area, especially when you're going down the beach side, like when you're on the east of 95. It kind of all intertwines.
Yes, it's strange that I like where it's all these regions kind of lined up where it's like the poverty doesn't matter because at least we're close to the beach. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, so where are we? It gets my roots. It's important. All right, Jackie. Hey, what do you think? Who do you think would win in a fight? No, I misread that. Sorry. Hey, what do you think would win in a fight? A midget or a pig? What the hell are you talking about? They're taking bets in a little while. The party tonight is going to be amazing, and you wonder why I left Miami. Jackie, well, this pig looks like he bites.
That's the kind of party you're missing in Miami, bro.
Okay, here's the thing. When you were writing this, were you like, what's the most absurd thing I can have people taking bets on?
Yes.
Okay. And you thought, well, there's got to be a human element. Otherwise, no one's going to care. So we got to put in a person. But it's a pig. Let's have him fighting a pig. But you're like, there's no way anyone's taking bets on a grown man fighting a pig, an adult-sized man, because there's, you know what I mean? The pig goes down every time. We got to even the odds. We got to even the odds. So I'm going midget. So, and that's the other thing is you wrote midget in there just so that like when Jackie says it, we get emails from people like, first of all, wrong terminology.
You think midget is too offensive for today?
I am cognizant enough to know that this will be a problematic line down the road. It just does the writing staff care enough to address it. If we're all in agreement, we're not going to say we don't care. Then it's fine.
Mr. Williams, I'll be able to take the heat for this one.
All right, we're going to the head writer, Matt Heath. He insisted.
Take it up and,
he insisted on keeping midgets.
If any of you guys have a problem out there with the Hennessy Williams show, you take it up with me personally. All right?
Oh my god. You insisted on keeping midget in the script. He said it loses its whole authenticity. No one cares about the fight if it's not a midget.
Well, I don't think you ever actually see the midget, so it's okay,
no, you can't.
Right?
You can't possibly actually think you're going to show.
Maybe you'll hear a squeal of a pig in the
over
background.
the phone, yeah. when the fight's going on, when the party's going.
Yeah. Of course.
Okay, and the pig looks like he's bites. So obviously Jackie's spoken. We know who Jackie's putting his money on. The pig that bites, B-I-G-H-T-S.
There's a typo. There's a typo.
I only say it because it appears several times.
Well, you make that same mistake over and over.
Here's the thing. It appeared enough that a couple comments when we did read it, we thought you were like using a word we'd never heard of. But it was like some old word that meant the same thing.
Because I'm an English teacher, you guys expect...
We're giving you the benefit of the doubt.
You expect better from me. Like, why would he spell it wrong?
Yeah, that's why we were like, well, maybe it's a different word. And we just started Googling it. Okay. Hennessy, you're more annoying than the backsword fans I run into on the strip of Boynton Beach. Because again, I'm in town. Well, if you think that you've escaped your fans, it's impossible. You're on a national TV show. It's on Netflix, for God's sakes. Hennessy, this is my hometown, Jackie. People don't know me as the star of Backsweat here. Hell, they don't even know me as Hennessy Williams. From a distance, a woman's voice is heard. Oh, Hennessy, you filthy dog! Jackie, what the hell, man? If you're getting intimate with your wife, we can talk some other time. That's not my wife. Oh, spicy. Details. Shut up for a second. I'm trying to hear. Hennessy walks across the street, getting closer and closer to the woman's voice. I'll have to call you back. Hennessy hangs up the phone with Jackie. He hides behind a plant and witnesses a frustrated woman washing a very heavy-set pit bull. Woman, stop waving, you filthy dog! Hennessy, stay still! What is the meaning of this? You dirty, filthy dog! Hennessy! The woman continues to struggle to watch the dog as Hennessy hides behind a plant. I just want to take the time to point out that this entire show is based off of a singular instance where one Matt Heath saw a woman interacting with a dog named Hennessy.
This apartment I live in across the street there is a woman who has a dog named Hennessy. And I witnessed her giving the dog... Well, actually, I was in here. I was laying in bed. I hear the woman washing the dog.
And this is the entire basis of the show. I want there to be no mistakes about this. You plan to write future episodes and future things based off of one singular instant in your personal life.
Yes.
You're like, this is a show. This is a show.
This is comedy gold right here. Is this dog that happens to have the same name as my friend.
We cut to Hennessy's crib. The scene opens up with Hennessy bursting into the living room where Ginger is waiting for him. That's it! Well, let's write it. We got to say it in the way Matt Heath thought when he wrote it. That's it! We gotta move! What are you talking about? We have to move. This place is no good. What do you mean it's no good? It might even be worse than Miami. Well, that's just crazy talk. Nothing is worse than Miami. Ginger, that's the main reason I wanted to leave Miami. Well, Ginger, what's the main reason I wanted to leave Miami? You wanted to get away from your fans of Backsweat. Exactly. And I'm never going to be able to do that here in Florida. We're going to have to move to West Virginia or something. All right, let's hit pause on this. You wrote this, and I feel like you wrote this with the rhythm of a 1990s sitcom, a rat-a-tat-tat sort of thing where I'm supposed to go back and forth. That's it! I'm moving! What's going going on? Well, I'll tell you what's going on. It's very Seinfeld-esque sort of patterning.
But it's what a sitcom needs. It's a conflict.
But it's just seeing the borrowed like rhythm of it, like the very like this is your influence right here was like okay you want and I already could feel it like you want me to go back and forth with the wife but we don't skip a beat. I'm saying I gotta move. She's saying why, and I'm saying because you know why. What's the reason I want to like already the passive aggressiveness in this line of asking my wife what was the reason I decided to move and expecting her to answer and then for her to answer because you wanted to get with what I assume is supposed to be yawning indifference because you wanted to get away from your fans. Exactly.
It's good writing.
Oh my gosh.
Do you disagree? Would you change the scene?
Not a word.
All right.
Oh my gosh.
Are you getting burnt out?
It's not burnt out. It's I have like I'm on a tight schedule today. Just because I have a bunch of, and so I'm like, man, this is when the episode's just getting good, folks. We've got pages to get through. I've got 8 minutes to do it.
All right. I was 5 more minutes. You want to go through 5 more minutes?
It's fine. All right, Ginger. Why are you acting so crazy? Would you believe it if I told you that there was a fan of mine living across the street? I'm sure a lot of people have seen your show, baby. Would you believe it if I told you there was an obsessive fan so obvious that she might name an overweight dog? Overweight is the fact that he needed to interject overweight into her, and it doesn't change. It doesn't change the dog. It just makes it more like me. Is that what the thinking was? So that you can get a better feel. Oh, and it's fat? Oh, Lord.
It's good writing.
Well, then did you tell her? Well, then I'd tell you were being delusional. Delusional? Don't you know anything about these fans that are obsessed with celebrities? These are the kinds of people that will break into your house in the middle of the night and murder you. Say what? Yo, man,
Alright.
That's a good summary. Say what? Oh my gosh.
No.
My wife, when she hears that about me saying, oh, the people, they could murder us, possibly. It's her first time ever hearing that that's a possibility and side effect of fame. Murder! The only thing would be better if she said murder. Murder?
She's never seen the movie Selena before. She doesn't understand that there's...
She doesn't know who John Lennon is.
There's obsessive people that will kill like, celebrities.
Yeah. Hennessy. It happened to John Lennon. It happened to Selena. Okay. That's right, folks. The example is right there in the script.
I forgot that I even wrote it.
It happened to John Lennon. It happened to Selena. It happened to Phil Hartman. And it might happen to me. If that's not how Phil Hartman died.
That was his wife.
Yeah, that was his wife. It wasn't a test
but she doesn't know who Phil Hartman is.
So
he's projecting a fear that it might
that's
be
just like a
wife.
Multi-layered joke to just throw that in there and it's incorrect.
He's projecting a fear that it might be her that kills him. That might be the 4th or 5th episode. You think your wife is trying to kill you?
I just hire a private investigator to follow my wife, and then when I think he's no good, I take it on myself because that's comedy. It's for me to think he's no good, and I'll do it. Like he came up with nothing, I'll do it because I trusted Jackie. I would assume I trusted Jackie to find me a PI.
All right, Never trust Jackie. Are we done?
Here's the best part of that line. Let me read that back. It happened to John Lennon. It happened to Selena. It happened to Phil Hartman. And it might happen to me if we don't get the hell out of this neighborhood. Ginger. Phil Hartman was killed by his wife. Hennessy. Excuse me?
All right, that about does it on the 1,000 Comics podcast, people. Make sure you tune in next time.